Evening, guys. Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. We're going to have our first reading tonight. We'll see how this goes. This is our maiden voyage. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite breeders tonight, Mr. John H. Madigan. We'll be starting off referencing through the Hermes B. Dure fowl, which is basically the Madigan fowl, but you'll discover this through the articles and through the paragraphs that we go through. The title to the article we're going to be reading tonight is "The Red and White Clarets, Same Fowl. Foundation Female" will be where we start. In other words, the foundation hen. That's where we start. This article was written by Mr. Gus Fristroff of Austin, Texas. He a little bit of the history on Mr. Fristroff is he worked for Madigan. He also later worked for Walter Kelso. I believe he worked for Frost. He worked for several of the top breeders in the United States, early 1900s. He knew the history on all these chickens. He was there while it happened. And so without further ado, we'll dive right in. Red and white clarets, same fowl, foundation female. Excuse me. Straight comb, wheat colored Dure white hackle hen. Presented to Colonel John H. Madigan by my friend, Colonel Andrew P. O'Connell of Dorsey, Maryland. This hen was out of the Hailstone spangled birchen colored hen, and her son, that Hermes B. Dure of New York, sent the Earl of Clonmel, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Clonmel, in Kildare, Ireland in 1901 with intentions of fighting some international mains with their offspring. In other words, he sent him this hen to do some breeding, much like I would send a hen to the Philippines, or you guys would send one to the Philippines or Mexico, wherever you go, and they're going to raise the fowl there. That's what was going on. This Dure cock had won 14 battles in the hands of Michael Kearney and Clonmel. Fought him in the first three mains against the Earl of Sefton, and the same week fought him in a 16-cock Welch main. So they fought this rooster 4 times in 1 week, in which the winner had to defeat 4 cocks, which he did, making him a 19-time winner. Everybody getting what I'm saying? This rooster had to whoop 4 roosters the same day to win this main for them. He's a bad boy. A bad boy. They said, which he did. Unbelievable. Sons of the 19-time winner out of his mother and his 3 sisters were unbeaten Sefton Derby cocks. No, I misread that. Beat the unbeaten Sefton Derby cocks. Unbeaten for 50 years. His sons whooped some cocks that this bloodline hadn't been beaten in a main in 50 years. Try to wrap your mind around that. These were good roosters. 2 out of 3 mains of 17 cocks each for $50,000 on the odd. 3 mains. The other mains ended in a draw. That means they couldn't decide a winner. There was not a winner. There was no one that won the odd. The mains ended in a draw. William Gilliver, England's primary cocker, who had never been defeated in a main before, fed for the Earl of Sefton. He'd never been defeated before he ran into these fowl. 84 Duray cocks fought in England and Irish mains and won 72 battles, defeating the leading strands over there. 84 cocks won 72 battles. Do that win percentage. These were good fowl. They were awesome, excellent. There's no word to describe how good these roosters were. The Duray strands, according to the letter he wrote the Major Carson in Hickory Valley, Tennessee in 1914, was bred out of a Haresford yellow birchen hen. That's the mama, a Haresford yellow birchen hen, and a cock of the Kearney brown reds, also from the Haresford family. There you go. There's your Duray fowl. That is your that is your Hermesby Duray fowl. You have a Haresford brown red cock. You have a Haresford yellow birchen hen. There's no white hackle in the Durays. Never has been, never will be. The Duray fowl was out of a black cock and a yellow birchen hen, a brown red cock and a yellow birchen hen. So when you go out there in the morning to pet those pretty little red roosters that you got, if you're a brown red hater or if you're a yellow birchen hater, hey, look, that's your chickens' ancestors. But yeah, hard to believe, but yes, it's true. This Kearney brown red cock won 11 times. 5 of his battles being in mains versus the Eastlands. That's the people that made the red quills. Made them famous. That is the red quills, the Eastlands. Now I take it they had other strands. I know they did. I've did some reading on them. They also had the red horse strand. I think they're extinct too. Matter of fact, I think they had the red horse strand, but we'll get into that when we have facts in front of us. But I have some knowledge on the Eastlands that most people don't have. Anyway, let's go ahead. Mr. Duray fought on an average of 4 mains yearly over a period of 30 years for a sum ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 on the odd. And most of you guys probably can pick up on what the odd is. The odd is the deciding fight. If you was in a 7-cock main, your goal would be to win 4, because the first person that wins 4 has won the odd. That means you're going to get the pot. There's an overall pot, and then they had a mandatory bet on every fight. But the odd was the overall pot, the big money. $5,000 to $50,000 turn of the century, 1900s. Can you imagine what the equivalent of that would be today? With only the loss of 1 main to John Hoy, when Kearney wanted to pay the forfeit due to the batch of sick cocks. In other words, Kearney and him was in on it. Kearney knew the roosters were sick, said let's pay the forfeit. We don't want to lose these roosters. But from what I understand from some more knowledge I have that we'll get to somewhere down the line, that Hoy insisted on the main be fought. So they lost that main. This is the female side of the Madigan Claret fowl. Hermes Duray won 99 out of 100 mains in the 1 1/4 blunt spur. That's about that long. And that's a gaff. It's considered a short hill nowadays. 99 mains out of 100. That's not 99 fights. That's 99 mains. Most of these mains were 7 cocks or better. Some of them were 17 cocks. Try to imagine how good these fowl were. And he was floating these fowl all over the world on a ship. They had no airplane. And we talk about traveling them a couple of 100 miles. They were excellent. These fowl this Madigan line. And Madigan had more than one line. He had a lot of different lines. They were all partners. They were all buddies. They fought against each other. They fought with each other, much like me and some of my friends do today, much like I'm sure a lot of you guys and some of your friends do, or we did back when it was legal here in the United States. And you know, we meet each other, or next weekend we might have been in together on an entry, and that's the way these guys were. They were no different. Of course, the only difference in them is these guys were royalty. They were only the rich had these kind of fowl back then. That's the reason cockfighting was referred to as the sport of kings. Just only the rich had gamecocks, and they were first captured for the pleasure of royalty during their festivals and things, to be entertainment for their guests. When they ran wild, they captured them. And there's even a family of Clarets, or used to be well-known family of Clarets, called the Wheatfield Clarets, which they were captured from a wheat field, as the story's told. But anyway, we're through with the mother side. We know she's a Duray hen. She's a brown, red, yellow birchin hen. The brothers and uncles and cousins and all of our kinfolks have been wearing people out all over the world. So let's go ahead and go into the cock side. And I believe we're going to find that he's going to be containing a lot of Duray fowl bloodlines also. He's going to be heavy in it. And they're establishing these chickens. At this point, in our readings, they have just started establishing it. So let's go ahead and go into it. Excuse me. Male side. Male side of the Clarets, foundation cock. The daddy. The daddy of the Clarets was a black-red, white-legged, lemon-hackled cock that defeated Henry Dean 6 times before Dean obtained and bred him to the Duray hen mentioned above. So Henry Dean obviously owned this hen. He bred this cock to him. He loved this cock. He got whooped by him 6 times, so he bought him. Said, "I had a girl for you, son." This cock was bred from a Mansell Pile. Mansell, not Mansell, Mansell Pile. Joe Gilman gray cock that my friend A.P. O'Connell presented to Madigan after defeating him in a Monroe, Louisiana tournament in 1909. So O'Connell basically wore Madigan out with him in this tournament and then gave him to Madigan as a gift. How about that for respect and friendship? "Hey, bub, I just kicked your butt, but the good news is I'm going to give you the cock I did it with." That sounds just like a rooster bed, doesn't it? Anyway, that's pretty cool. Those guys were buddies. Wouldn't it have been great to have been standing there with them, watching that go down. This Mansell Pile Joe Gilman Greycock was from a pair of fowl presented to him by the Earl of Craven. The Mansell Pile Joe Gilman Greycock was bred to a hen from Thomas McCarthy, which was of the John Beard strand of Toronto, Canada. Light red, yellow leg fowl, same as the cocks made famous by Dennis Mahoney. There you go, the Dennis Mahonies. It's the same fowl as this cock side. The cock side was the same as the Dennis Mahonies, which Dennis Mahoney made them famous because he obtained them and they were good, so he got famous on them. That's the way that works. Win the crowd, you win your freedom. Wasn't that a saying in a movie somewhere? Well, that's true. Breed good cocks. Breed great cocks. The cocks will sell themselves, and they will also sell you. They will take you through the roof. But you're not going to find good cocks every day. You're going to have to find those cocks where they are. And one day some of you guys are going to understand what I'm saying. Good game cocks are where you find them. They're not with a price tag, and they're not behind nobody's name. These men right here knew a game rooster when they seen them. They knew excellent fowl when they seen it. And it didn't matter what it took, they got it. Because they knew they could feed that one for the same amount of grain that they was feeding one that was lesser. So they didn't have the lesser fowl. That's what made these guys so special. That's what made them who they are today. In books, with people like me sitting around the table reading about them. Hoping some of you guys are listening. And hopefully I can learn something from them one day too. Beard was an English jockey and obtained the fowl. Said to be the purest Derby fowl ever to come to America from the nobility of England. He's referring to the Earl of Derby. And I've said it once, and I've said it more than once, and a lot of the old timers will tell you the same thing. 95% of all the fowl in the United States today that are successful tonight, as I said at this table, if they're a successful bloodline and have stood the test of time, they're carrying blood from two breeders. The Earl of Derby, Hermes B. Duray. Bar none. No matter what color they are, no matter what name you're calling them today, if you could look inside their DNA, it's going to be carried. One of those two breeders, or both of those two breeders' blood. The red son of the Beard hen and the Mansell Pile, Joe Gilman Gray cock, I had to change pages, was bred of a Duray hen, and their first 9 sons were colored the color of claret wine. There we go. We just shot the Duray back to them again. And there come that name, claret. Color of claret wine. Hence the name. They remained regular color until about 1917, when Madigan and Dean bred the cock called Black Spur. He added a cock. I'm going to bet you this cock's carrying more Duray blood. That cock won 9 times, which they obtained from Mr. O'Connell. Madigan Dean's bred from Black Spur for 7 years. They bred this cock for 7 years. Excuse me. They had to like him, and he was a bad boy, won 9 fights. I'm going to bet you he's heavy with the Duray blood because O'Connell and Duray were like that. They were tight. They all were. Black Spur won 9 times, and 11 of his brothers beat Frank Heeland and Dr. Robinson, 11 straight in a main, after Frank had won a string of 16 straight mains for the doctor. This guy just won 16 straight mains, comes in and gets his butt handed to him by Black Spur's brothers. Black Spur was from a family of Mr. O'Connell's fowl called the New Hopes. So it's another strain. Like I said, these guys they bred them a bunch of different ways, just like we all do. Black Spur's brothers defeated Hatch and Woodbine Company, Maine 7-2. First white clarets appeared after breeding Black Spur in 1917. Black Spur contained 1/4 Mansell Pile, white blood in his pedigree. There we are. We're all the way back to that Mansell Pile again. That's all they're doing is putting a dash back in. They're seeing where it's at, They're seeing where the honey's at, and they keep tapping it. They know where it's at. That Duray blood, and they putting that dash of that Mansell pile in them, and they're hammering. I hope these guys and you guys can wrap yourself around some of this stuff that these guys were doing, because they were geniuses. And they had a lot of good old common horse sense. I imagine what was going through their mind, and this is just my observation. There's no logic on it written on paper, but they said, hey, you know, this is working. These roosters can fight. We're doing this. This is what we'd be saying today. Now, let's keep breeding them. Let's keep putting a little more of that in them. How about another dash of that Duray blood? Oh, you fought that cock 9 times? What is he? Oh, he's a Duray? He's got a little that pile in him? Yeah, let me have him. I'm going to breed him this hen over here. You know how it goes, same way we do it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to leave it right there. And the next reading, we're going to start with a new Hope strand, which is what old Black Spur's out of. And we'll start it right there. And I hope everybody enjoyed this. I think I'm going to have a good time doing it. I might have to learn to read a little better, but we're going to make it happen. Any questions, comments, anything, just put them down there and we'll try to address them at the beginning of the next reading. You guys have a great evening. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you.